and I've got the Bluetooth mic turned on. Thank you all for coming. The topic this afternoon is defending our faith, and I am very thankful for the opportunity to get to speak to you all today. When I was considering which part of our faith to defend, the most important one for me, or at least the one that I consider the most, is probably the question that we all ask ourselves at one point or another. And everybody, even if you're not spiritual, we all ask, where did we come from? We look around at this earth, the stars, the galaxies. Where did it all come from? How did we get here? And that's what I want to talk about. And I believe that we have very good reason to believe in a divine designer. So let's look at a couple of things. There are three theories, three prevailing theories, and they all kind of build on each other. This is what science is considering to be the prevailing theories for where everything came from. So let's look at these really quick. Obviously, this is a big topic, and we are going to barely scratch the surface. These theories are incredibly dense, and I think, in part, it's worth looking into, right? We need to know what the world is considering and how we should respond to that. And hopefully this talk today is going to give you some tools to do that. So first, the most prevailing theory currently is the Big Bang. This is how scientists believe the universe came into being. Scientists think the universe began a long time ago with a huge explosion called the Big Bang. Imagine everything in the universe squished into a tiny, super hot and dense ball, and then, boom! It exploded and started expanding like a balloon, being blown up. That explosion created all the matter and energy we see around us today. You may see some problems with this already, but we'll get to that. The second one is called inflationary theory, and it builds off of the Big Bang because after the Big Bang, they say there was a special time called cosmic inflation. It's like the universe went through a growth spurt. During this period, the universe expanded super fast, much faster than during the regular explosion after the Big Bang. This rapid expansion helped to make the universe smooth and flat, and it set the stage for galaxies and stars to form later on. The next theory is called the oscillating universe theory. Some scientists used to think that the universe goes through cycles of expansion and contraction, like a breathing motion. It expands for a while, and then gravity slows it down, and it starts contracting until it becomes small again. This contraction leads to another Big Bang, and the process repeats. However, recent observations suggest that the universe might be expanding forever. So scientists are still trying to figure out if this theory is correct. That's the best they got. You might notice that none of these theories actually answer the question, where did we come from? They all go back to a point where there was some stuff and it got hot, there was energy, and well, now here we are. Where did the stuff come from? It doesn't answer where did it come from? Where did the energy come from to set it all into motion? Scientists just shrug their shoulders. They can't answer the question. You may notice the titles of each of these are theories. And scientists refer to them as theories. These are not proven scientific facts. These are theories. It is just what scientists are considering to be maybe possibly the answer. Even scientists, top scientists today, admit we can't know what happened before the Big Bang. We can't know it. That's a problem. If you're trying to figure out where did we all come from, where did all of this come from, and you get to a point where you say, oh, we can't figure it out, it's kind of a problem. I propose a different theory, a fact, in my opinion, in my faith, of how all of this came into being and where we all came from, which leads to giving our lives purpose and reminding ourselves that we are not just accidents. We didn't come about just through time and chance, as scientists want you to believe. Let's look at one thing, because we are very limited on time. Let's look at one thing that we can observe in nature that should give us some clues. Also, look with me in Romans chapter 1. We're going to read Romans chapter 1, verses 19 through 20. It says there, "For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse." This passage is saying you can look out on nature, and it should lead you to the conclusion that somebody put this here. This doesn't look like an accident. All of these ecosystems are working together perfectly. Somebody must have done that on purpose. So this one thing I want to look at is called the golden ratio. This is a mathematical thing. I am not a mathematician, but we have all seen this. If you have noticed the spiral shape in seashells, or if you have noticed that spiral shape in the shell of a snail, if you have noticed that spiral shape that flowers make when they bloom, those petals are not an accident. And it all leads back to this mathematical formula that is called the golden ratio. You can see this in leaf and branch arrangements. You can see this in animals. You can see this in humans. If you measure the width between your eyes and the width of your nose, your facial proportions, if you look at your wrist to your elbow to the tip of your middle finger, these proportions all point back to this golden ratio. They're all mathematical. Very, very precise stuff that you see across these different ecosystems. Weird. It's almost like it was done on purpose. So what's the answer? Let's look at a couple more passages. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. It says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.'" That's where the energy came from. God's spoken word. Let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. Let's also look at Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews 11 in verse 3, it says, "By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible." When you look at these two views of the universe, where we came from, you have to conclude that it takes faith to believe in both of them. Right? Scientists don't have answers, and they don't have the most important answer. Where did we come from? Their theories only lead to more questions. And when you follow that pathway, it leads to a life of, I don't know my purpose. Why am I here? Where do I fit in all of this that just came about through time and chance? But if you look at creation, if you look at the view of we are purposefully, wonderfully designed and created by God, that gives you an answer. It gives you a purpose. You are not an accident. God created you to fulfill His purpose. So, I believe that a divine designer is the most reasonable conclusion. What we looked at with the golden ratio, that is just one aspect. You can also look at the angle of the tilt of the earth, the measurement of how fast it spins. If you look up at the stars and the galaxies and their movement through space, everything is working in such precision that if something was off, even by a degree or two, the whole thing would just fall apart. And we are supposed to believe that it just happened, given enough time. We can't look at all of those details. We don't have enough time. But I hope that this was helpful for you. And I hope that it equipped you with a couple of verses here. Remember these. Genesis 1, talking about the creation, and Hebrews 11:3, and most importantly, I believe, Romans 1, 19 through 20, talking about the creator of the universe. I will leave you with one more. Colossians chapter 1. This goes back to creation and how it was who it was through. Colossians 1, 15 through 17, He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by Him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through Him and for Him, and He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. The person this verse is talking about is Jesus Christ. Everything was created through God's Word, which is Jesus Christ. And we can all have a relationship with Jesus. We have His written Word. We need to make the choice to open it and to build that relation with Jesus and with the Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to share these short messages with you. I really, really appreciate Kyle putting this on, and I'm really looking forward to listening to what Brother Connie Adams has to say. Thank you.
Leave this one on. It won't record until I hit record.
Okay. Good
All right,
enough.
so you want to put it in the pocket?
Yeah. Let me see. I'll just put it in my inside coat pocket.